Hello everyone and welcome back to another tutorial in Unreal Engine Blueprints. In this tutorial we are going to learn about do-en node. What is it, how it works and how to use it. So let's get started. I will use my third-person template. So let's open up the third-person template. So let's right click and type keyboard. I can choose any key. So I can change this very easily. Simply select it and in the top right corner click this keyword and assign any key you want to use. I will use the right click. So when I press right click, something will happen. Now to call the do-en node, you can either right click and type do-en flow. So we are typing flow because this node is under the flow control categories. So you have to choose this do-en. So it says allows execution to pass through only n times. So what does this mean? When you connect this, let's say I'm going to put here number 3. And let's test if this is working. So I'm going to call print string. So when I press right click, only 3 times we can print this. And that's it, it's going to stop. Now let's test it out. So pay attention to the top left corner. I'm pressing right click. Once, twice, 3 times. And now when I press, nothing happens. Okay, so it's working. I will just put this print string over here. So this means when you press right click, from here it's going to execute number of times based on this value here. So if you type here 40, so only 40 times you can execute whatever is coming from this node, from this exit pin. And this counter is actually the output of this number. So if you put 3, you can get the output of this. So the name is self-explanatory, counter of this. And we have here reset. Now let's see into more details how we can use this. Let's create a projectile. So I'm going to go to actors and right click, new blueprint class of actor. I'm going to name this simply projectile. Let's open it up. So let's type here sphere. So this is going to be my projectile. Now make this sphere as a root. So click, drag and drop onto this. And we need another component. Type projectile. So we need projectile movement. And projectile movement is going to be something like 3000 and max speed of 3000. So let's do a simple program over here. I'll delete this, we don't need them. So drag and drop the sphere and on component hit, we can destroy the sphere. So we don't need this. So when this sphere hits something, we're going to destroy the actor. Okay, so this is everything for the projectile. We can close this up. Now let's go to the character. Let's add the arrow. So type arrow. And from this arrow, we're going to spawn that projectile. So let's type projectile spawn underscore location. And let's put this projectile over here, not to collide with our player. Something like this. So maybe 150 in the X. So let's go to the graph. Let's drag and drop the arrow. So we need get world location and get world rotation. And let's spawn the projectile. Right click and type spawn actor from class. So now we're going to spawn this actor only 3 times. So right click on this spawn transform and split struct pin. So we need the location of the arrow and the rotation of the arrow. And the size of the projectile is going to be 0.5, just to make sure we won't collide with our player. And from the class, type the name of the actor you want to spawn, projectile. Okay, now let's test it out. So 1, 2, 3. Now when I press right click, I cannot spawn anymore. So this is the basic how we can use this do n. So let's go into more details. Now let's select all of this and right click, collapse to function, and we can simply name it spawn projectiles. Compile and save. It's worth mentioning the shortcut of this node, so simply hold down N on your keyboard and left click, and you're going to spawn this node. So N and left click. Okay, so I can delete this. Now let's make this as a variable. So I'm gonna drag a pin from here. So I have already made from before. I'm gonna delete this just to show you in details. So drag a pin from here and promote to variable. And we can type it projectiles. Compile and save. Now we can select this projectiles variable. So we can see here how much we want to spawn. So let's say we want to spawn 5 projectiles. So when you spawn 5 projectiles, let's get the return value of that. So let's type it here, equal. So when you spawn the number of projectiles, which means it's 5 at this moment, if that is equal to 5, so you can make it like this if you want, but to make it more accurate, you can simply connect this. So this means if you want to spawn 5 projectiles, and if that is true, something will happen from here. So hold down B key and left click to call a branch. We can connect this. So we're pressing the right click, and we want to spawn this much projectiles, 5 in this case. And from the exit, we are going to do that. So we are spawning 5 times. And we are counting from here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And when that becomes true, here something will fire. And if it's not true, which means if you spawn 1, 2, 3, 4, this is going to fire in the meantime. And when it comes to 5, this is going to fire. Now let's test it out. So let's bring this over here. Now we can leave this as a hello. I'm going to copy this print string. And I will type here, no more projectiles. Now when I spawn 5 projectiles, so 1, we say hello in the top left corner, 2, 3, 4, and now when it comes to 5, no more projectiles. Now if I try to spawn, I cannot. Now let's see how we can reset this. Let's go back to the player. So let's delete this. Now let's say we want to make a cooldown for this. I will show you a small trick. So in order to hit this reset, we can simply right click and type custom event. So we can use custom event for this. And we can type reset projectiles. And connect this with a reset. Now this won't do anything until you specifically call it. So I'm gonna right click and type reset projectiles. Now when this event is connected, for example from here, that means you're going to reset this node. Now let's try it out. Now when you come to 5, you can keep on spawning because this is going to reset it. Now let's try it out. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You see it's working because it's resetting the node. Okay, back to the graph. Now let's make a cooldown from here. So when we reach this number of projectiles, So we're spawning 5, and we come to 5. We can right click and type custom event, and we can name this reset after cooldown. So many of the tutorials will teach you how to use a delay, so after this amount of seconds you can reset and that's it. But no, this node is not good for optimization. I have a whole tutorial for it, so you can check it out. Instead we can use custom events and timers, which I'm going to show you now. So don't use delay nodes. From here we can type timer, so set timer by event, and we can connect this from the true. That means when we come to the 5 projectiles, then we can trigger this timer. So we can wait something like 5 seconds, and then we can reset it. So after 5 seconds, we can reset it. So if you double click this node, it's going to tell us this is the node. But before doing this, we have to do something very important. And that is to take this pin over here and type clear and invalidate timer by handle. This means that you have to stop this timer from ticking after it's spawned. So after 5 seconds, this is going to execute. So the timer will stop, but in the background it's going to keep on running. So the program will stop, but the timer is already starting. That means it's going to keep on going in the background. That's why this node is existing, so we can stop the timer. So again, after 5 seconds, this code will stop, but the timer will keep on ticking in the background. So this will prevent this from ticking, we can stop it. So also, many of the other tutorials are gonna tell you how to promote this to variable, but you don't need to do this, because you can simply get it like this and put it down here. So after 5 seconds, we're going to stop the timer and reset the projectiles. Okay, now let's test it out. So I'm going to spawn 5 projectiles. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I'm clicking. In the background is the cooldown. And after 5 seconds, I can spawn it again. Now what you can do is right click and type print string. So this is for testing purposes. You can use this some UI element to show you that cooldown is ready. So I'm going to type here, cooldown is ready, or projectiles are ready, it doesn't matter. Now I'm going to use all the projectiles. And now in the top left corner, after 5 seconds, cooldown is ready. Now let's try it one more time. Now keep on pressing. Cooldown is ready. Okay, so this is how you're using the do end node. You can take a look on the final blueprint. Alright, so thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.